Welcome to McKnight Tonight. Here's Rob McKnight.
Hello, good evening. I am Rob McKnight. Welcome to McKnight Tonight for this Wednesday, the 11th of February. And stop what you're doing right now. We're moving things a day early because this is the last edition of the show for this week. Family stuff we've got to take care of tomorrow, so we can't do a show. So instead of Tipsy Thursday, we're going to have a Wino Wednesday. So get your drinks. Quick, if you haven't already, go and get them. Wino Wednesday? Maybe I should have just gone with Wine Wednesday, Amanda. But I like wino. And we've got one from the Margaret River on song, a Sauvignon Blanc. Amanda picked that one. So I'll have that tonight. Ooh, I get to drink a night early this week. Would you like one, Amanda? I'll get you one in a moment. Cheers, everyone. Happy International Day of Women and Girls in Science. That's what day it is today. You know every day is a day for something. So I'm going to take... There is one problem, Amanda. This is the last bottle of wine in the house.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we need people to go and buy some merch. And you can do that. You can get your McKnight Tonight cap and anything else you like by going to YouTube. No, not YouTube. By going to McKnightTonight.myshopify.com. That's McKnightTonight.myshopify.com. You know, the other night I actually said Spotify.
Oops.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's live streaming for you. Anyway, and while we're doing the plugs, don't forget to go and watch the show on YouTube and make sure you subscribe by going to youtube.com/@McKnightTonight and hit the bell so you don't miss a show or a clip. And jump on the comments because tonight's first topic will spark debate, I'm sure, and I love hearing from you. All right, let's get into it. Tonight, former Australian of the Year, Grace Tame, at the centre of a political firestorm after leading a controversial chant at a pro-Palestinian rally in Sydney. But now there are calls for her honour to be revoked and a broader question about who really believes in free speech. Also, why are Australians being forced to pay to watch the Australian Olympians compete? Channel 9 has come under pressure in Senate estimates. In Rob's Rant, Barnaby, Joyce, Malcolm Turnbull and the long memory of political grudges. And I am here for it. And later, our very special guest, music legend Ralph McTell, joins me for a conversation spanning decades, songs and stories.
Through the streets of London, I'll show you something to make you change your mind.
All right, let's get into it. Former Australian of the Year, Grace Tame, is at the centre of a political and public backlash tonight after leading controversial chants at a pro-Palestinian rally in Sydney. Yeah, that was Tame speaking from the steps of Sydney Town Hall during protests against the visit of Israeli President Isaac Herzog. Now, Tame led the chant from Gadigal to Gaza, Globalise the Intifada. Intifada means shaking off in Arabic and is often used as an expression of solidarity with Palestinian resistance against Israel. But it's a phrase critics say carries violent and anti-Semitic connotations. So much so that New South Wales Premier Chris Minns has sought to ban the phrase under his state's revised hate speech laws, deeming it violent rhetoric. That chant has led to calls for Grace Tame to have her Australian of the Year honour revoked. Now, on Sky News Australia, Chris Kenny ran a montage of grabs from politicians backing those calls.
Is that the sort of thing that should see her stripped of that honour?
Yes, 100%.
Australia Day Council, in my view, should be taking a very dim view of this. Now, there is history, there is precedent.
Yeah, really, if you want intifada in Australia, just hand back your gong. It's the decent thing to do.
But Tame, well, she's hitting back and hard. In a social media post overnight, she said she was not the story, accusing politicians and the media of deflecting attention away from Israel's actions in Gaza and alleging protesters were met with unprovoked police brutality. The New South Wales Premier and Police Commissioner are disputing that. But these are the scenes from Sunday night that Grace Tame is talking about.
Sydney Town Hall, peak hour. It's volatile and violent.
They pepper sprayed me.
Hands up, not resisting, this man is grabbed by his shirt, punched repeatedly in the ribs by police and pulled to the ground. Another man tackled on tram tracks, arms restrained, his head slammed into the concrete, more punches thrown. As he allegedly fights back, biting an officer's finger. He was one of 27 people arrested last night when protesters clashed with police in the middle of the CBD.
Certainly looks rough, but there is evidence to suggest that in at least one of those videos, the protester was biting police. That's an allegation that, if you watch the tape, certainly seems borne out. When you go earlier in the footage, you can see the scuffle between officers and the protester escalating, and to me it does look like the officer is being bitten, but that will obviously be borne out in a court of law. But let's go back to Grace Tame. Should her Australian of the Year honour be revoked? Well, the simple answer is no. We live in a democracy. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. She hasn't broken any laws, or at least not yet. Maybe Chris Min's hate speech laws will change and she will have broken a law. But at this point, she hasn't. We can't just strip Australian of the Year or other honours away from people just because we don't like their political views. Now, there is a precedent to have honour stripped, but so far it's only been people who have had the Order of Australia and other honours. They have been revoked because of criminal proceedings, not the Australian of the Year. But why are politicians and commentators on the right trying to cancel people? Again, we are a democracy. People have the right to have their say. Do I agree with a lot of what Grace Tame says? No, I don't. But I'll defend her right to say it. At least Chris Kenny on Sky called for Tame to hand it back in. He didn't demand she be stripped of the title, but others, like Barnaby Joyce, did just that. Now, what's interesting, I thought cancel culture was something we accused the hard left of doing. Jon Stewart, who hosts the very left-leaning show, The Daily Show, well, he's caught on to this, and he pointed that out this week when, in regards to American politics and the uproar about Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl.
When did the right become such f***ing pussies? When? Remember 2017? Remember what you hated about liberals? Oh, perpetually offended, safe spaces, censoring free speech, culture of victimhood. Remind you of anyone?
But it's not just the left-leaning Jon Stewart making this observation. Piers Morgan, who describes himself as a centrist, had this to say this week.
And in light of the furious reaction to Bad Bunny's spectacular and largely non-political halftime show at this year's Super Bowl, it's worth asking whether the culture is now shifting. Is MAGA becoming a bit thin-skinned, a bit sneering, a bit censorious, a bit, dare I suggest it, woke?
Hell of a turnaround, isn't it? So you absolutely have the right to criticise Grace Tame. She's a public figure. She makes big statements. You can argue her point of view. But let's get rid of the crap of trying to take back her Australian of the Year. She was the Australian of the Year. She got that because of her advocacy for victims of sexual abuse. She has done a lot of good in the community. Again, I do not agree with everything Grace Tame says. I do not like the way she acted in front of Scott Morrison. She showed the office of the Prime Minister absolutely no respect. But she has the right to do it. I don't think it means she should be stripped of that title. I mean, I don't think she lives up to being Australian of the Year as well as she could, but that's her choice. It doesn't mean you can take it away. All right. If you've just joined us, we're having Wino Wednesday because there's no show tomorrow night. We just couldn't make the logistics work with a few family commitments. So it's a short week for us, Amanda. What are you going to do with all that spare time?
Run around dropping off pizza here and there and everywhere.
That's right. So let us know your thoughts at youtube.com/@McKnight Tonight. Come on. If you've never made a comment before, but you're a lurker, you're a watcher, tonight's the night. And I'll even have a drink for you. If I see a new name in those comments, I'll have a drink. How's that, Amanda? Any excuse. I know. All right, moving on. The Winter Olympics are on at the moment, but Channel 9 has come under fire for only airing an Aussie athlete on its streaming service Stan instead of on its free-to-air channel. Concerns were raised by Senator Jane Hume in estimates yesterday.
I want to ask some questions about ACMA's interpretation around the anti-siphoning laws, and specifically how they apply to the Winter Olympics telecast that we're seeing right now. So just to put this into context, I have some old family friends whose daughter is skiing in the cross-country team, you know, go Maddie Hooker. It's very exciting. And her first race, and on the first day of the Winter Olympics, was this Saturday just gone. And the race was at 11 p.m. at night. So I sat up well past my bedtime to watch Maddie in her first race, and they'd advertised it throughout the evening that, you know, the skiathlon was going to, women's skiathlon was going to be at 11 o'clock. Come 11 o'clock, they said, and if you want to keep watching the skiathlon, you can turn to Stan Sport. And I thought, oh, that's a bit of a bugger. Oh, well, the good news is I've got Stan. So I go over to Stan, but it's not Stan, it's Stan Sport that I need to have. So there's this whole bunch of fiddling to try and pay an extra $20 to start subscribing to a system that I would never otherwise use, simply to watch one of only 4 events, I think, that day where Australians were participating. This was incredibly frustrating. Now, I want to understand whether, from your perspective, whether the intent of the government's anti-siphoning laws are to ensure that significant events are broadcast on free-to-air TV, and that the minister's anti-siphoning instrument outlines that the Olympics, and that's summer and winter, are declared significant events.
I will pass to my colleague.
No problems. So yes, the Winter Olympics are on the anti-siphoning list, so a designated event. But the way that the rules operate is to ensure that the free-to-air broadcaster purchases the rights. In having the rights, there's no obligations in relation to broadcasting that content. It can air content on its streaming services, so that's within the rules. We have received some inquiries about the Winter Olympics along those lines, but content that has been purchased by Nine and aired on Stan through their arrangements is within the rules.
Yeah, this is extraordinary. The anti-siphoning legislation is a mess at the moment. Now, let me rewind a bit. The anti-siphoning legislation is to protect sport and keep it on free-to-air television. Sports of cultural significant importance. So we're talking NFL, AFL, grand finals, Winter Olympics, Summer Olympics, all those kind of things. Big sporting, cricket's big sporting events. So what's happened here is Nine has a curated feed on their main channel that when they're playing News and Married at First Sight, it goes over to 9Gem. Now, what Nine have done differently this year is that they don't have it on 2 channels. In previous years, we've seen the digital channels carry Olympic feeds as well, but that isn't happening. Nine's doing a big play to get people over to Stan, which is fine. And you can say, I just want to watch the downhill skiing or the race or whatever, and you can go to Stan and do that. I like Disney Plus in the fact that you don't have to pay extra for sport, but if you're into your sport and you want to watch these individual games, you can do that on Stan for an extra $20, as Senator Hume said. Now, the problem here is that I'm led to believe that Nine did show bits and pieces of the race that Senator Jane Hume was talking about, but it wasn't the whole race that she wanted to see. But she raises a point that she had to go to Stan and there were no other alternatives of it being on 9Gem. Now, where I do understand Nine, I just said that they're trying to get people over to Stan and they're trying to make that their next big play. They're trying to evolve the business because television is in trouble. And we see that Survivor Season 50 will exclusively be on Stan. It won't be shown on free-to-air TV. So if you want to watch the 50th anniversary of the Season 50 of Survivor, you have to watch it on Stan. It's the only place you can get it. So that's going to be interesting to see how Survivor fans take that. Now, what Nine is doing is great on Stan, being able to watch all the different feeds of all the different events. But there is a problem when you are the host broadcaster. I do think you have a duty to show Australians competing. Now, they don't control the feed, so they can't focus on the Australians. But if there's an Australian competing in an event, we need to see it. The problem is that it was also up against a marquee event, and that's why Nine made the decision to go with the marquee event. I think it was the ramp thing. I'm not really a sporting person. The ramp thing. So, but where the legislation is a problem is because it's now becoming unfit for purpose. So we just heard there, and it's quite extraordinary, that Nine could buy the Winter Olympics, buy the NRL, and then decide not to play it on free-to-air TV and only put it on Stan. They have that right to do that because the siphoning only protects the ability of the networks to purchase those sports, not how they have to show them. Now, in fairness, when the anti-siphoning list was created and the legislation, we didn't have digital television. It was all made because Foxtel was the competitor. We didn't have streaming services. We didn't have catch-up. But it's a problem within the legislation that if Nine decided to do that, they could. Now, the secondary thing of the legislation that's a problem is that while the free-to-air TV networks absolutely have to or have the right to broadcast and be given the rights by buying them, but be given the rights to the NRL, the AFL, whatever's on the anti-siphoning list, it doesn't stop a Netflix, an Amazon Prime or a Disney coming in and getting the digital rights. So what the government did recently, the Albanese government, they didn't protect the digital rights for the free-to-air broadcasters. Now, that's a problem considering around about 33% of all Australians don't have an aerial anymore. If they watch free-to-air television, they do it through the streaming services, 9 Now, 7 Plus, 10 Play, ABC iView, SBS On Demand. So that means that 33% of Australians that do not own an aerial would have to pay for their sport. If Nine got the NRL rights, but Netflix got the digital rights, at least 33% of Australians would have to pay for a Netflix subscription to be able to see those. Now, look, it isn't new that rights have been split up. You know, in previous Winter Games and Olympics, Foxtel have had the pay TV rights. So what Nine is doing with Stan isn't that different. But Nine, having all of it, has to be careful. And they have to make sure the public is well served by showing the Australians. I think they've made a mistake here. I think they absolutely should have had a secondary channel on Gem and there aren't that many Australians in the Winter Olympics. We deserve to be able to see them when they're competing. But on a bigger scale, the anti-siphoning legislation is a mess. It needs an overhaul and the free-to-air networks need to be protected. But I say that with a caveat. They have to do the right thing by viewers if they are to be protected. They have my support right now. But if they get to a point where they're overtly forcing people onto the paid streaming services and paying for sport, well, then that's no better than the Netflix and the Disney Plus. So it's a fine line. I don't have a problem with them trying to use this opportunity. They've spent a lot of money on the rights. I don't have a problem with them getting people over to Stan, but it needs to be done carefully and with consideration.
The best place to watch McKnight Tonight is on YouTube. Help us monetize the show by going to youtube.com/@McKnightTonight. And you can always become a paid member. That gives you exclusive live streams and early access to videos. Just go to youtube.com/@McKnightTonight.
Oh, it's a bit hot in here. You can tell my wine's almost gone. I'll have to fill up soon. It is Wino Wednesday. It's Wino Wednesday, and now it's time for Rob's Rant. Now, is it okay to hold a grudge? Barnaby Joyce certainly does against Malcolm Turnbull, and I've got to tell you, I am here for it.
In the same courtyard where he launched his own leadership challenge in 2015,
it was over there actually.
Malcolm Turnbull says he came to talk hydropower, not power struggles, but shared his views anyway.
If Angus wants to be leader of the Liberal Party, he should stand up and say so, and say why.
Liberals expect Angus Taylor to do that before the end of the week. Mr Turnbull warning whatever happens, the party must return to the centre-right.
And if you run off into La La Land, which is where they've headed, then you find yourself running second to Pauline Hanson.
Malcolm Turnbull.
From the man now running with Pauline Hanson and with no love lost after being dumped as Deputy Prime Minister under Malcolm Turnbull's so-called bonk ban.
I remember a certain gentleman talking about, that you shouldn't be a bitter ghost. I don't know. The only thing he's missing down there in the courtyard is a sheet over his head.
They say you should be the bigger person and not hold grudges. Bullshit. I'm with Barnaby on this. I mean, you can say what you like about Barnaby having the affair with his staffer and all that kind of stuff. It was 2 consenting adults and all that kind of stuff. But when Malcolm Turnbull basically chastised him and put the bonk ban on, I mean, it was humiliating. And I don't blame Barnaby for having a grudge against Malcolm Turnbull. And that look on his face when Malcolm Turnbull was... and he rolled his eyes. That was just hilarious. But why shouldn't we hold grudges? Why should people who do the wrong thing by you get a free pass? No. I am such a loyal person. I will be loyal to you until the end of days. But you do me wrong, and screw you. I'm coming for you, and I will hold a grudge. Yes, I can forgive. We can make up again, and then I'll be loyal again. But if you do me wrong and don't own it, you and I have a problem. So on this one, I stand with Barnaby. Hold grudges. Be proud of it. Don't ever let anyone tell you you should be the bigger person. Screw that. That's Rob's rant. Hello. Sorry. I forgot we were coming back to me. And I was quickly looking at the feedback. I need a drink, maybe. I don't know why I thought it was a longer sting. I don't know why I thought that. Look, while we're still talking politics, obviously the big news is Angus Taylor has resigned from the Shadow Cabinet earlier this evening, but he stopped short of calling for a spill. I'll take you back and show you the announcement he made. It was about a bit after 6 o'clock Sydney time tonight.
Well, tonight I've tendered my resignation as a member of the Shadow Cabinet. Since the election in May last year, I've sought to be a constructive member of the leadership team and supported Susan Lee's leadership in a difficult time when we needed a rebuild of the party. But we can't mince with words. The Liberal Party is at the worst position it has been since 1944 when the party was formed. That is a confronting reality and we cannot ignore it. We have failed to hold a bad Labor government to account. We've seen a collapse in Australians' standard of living. We've seen a failure to protect Australians' way of life. Australians want better from the Liberal Party. Our supporters, those that have voted for us, and those who might have voted for us at the last election, as well as Australians more generally. I think Australians generally understand that a strong Australia means a strong Liberal Party. We must have a strong Liberal Party if we're going to have a strong democracy in this country and we're going to hold this bad Labor government to account. The situation right now is devastating for Australians and for that reason we need to urgently restore confidence in the Liberal Party. That means we need strong leadership, clear direction and a relentless and courageous focus on our values. As a first priority, we need to protect Australians' way of life. We need to focus on restoring their standard of living. I don't believe Susan Lee is in a position to be able to lead the party as it needs to be led from here. I've just a few moments ago tendered my resignation. I will continue to serve the Liberal Party and to work towards getting to where it needs to be. If it is to have the strength to make a contribution to this great nation, the kind of contribution that he has conventionally traditionally made.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So he's resigned from Shadow Cabinet, but he hasn't actually triggered for a spill motion. Now, the things I'm reading online is that it's expected that Angus's supporters will call for a spill motion to be placed on Friday. They'll do that tomorrow. They'll write to Susan Lee, and the party will come together on Friday and have the spill motion, and that's when we'll know if he's successful. Apparently, the numbers are very tight. And so, look, to me, there's no doubt Susan Lee has to go. Is Angus Taylor the right choice? I'm not really sure. But the problem is Susan Lee's had a chance, and they're saying that she hasn't had a chance. She's had a chance. And the poll numbers have gone down and down. And then they're throwing it on, well, it's not a good look if the Liberal men get rid of the female. This isn't a male-female issue. This isn't a gender issue. This is a leadership issue. And I just don't think Susan Lee was the right person. I'd rather see someone like Jane Hume running the party. I think she's terrific. But the simple fact is they need to make the change. Will they make the change? Because if they don't make the change, this is just going to go on. And her leadership is destabilised already. I mean, in question time today, Labor were literally there saying, well, we don't know who's going to be the leader of the Liberal Party next year, so we don't know who to talk next week, so we don't know who to talk to. And that's the ongoing issue. Even if by some miracle Susan Lee wins this one, it's still not going to go great for her. All right, let me know your thoughts at YouTube. I'm going to get to your feedback in a moment. I'll try not to get distracted by them again. Hey, coming up, Ralph McTell. Now, do you remember that song, Streets of London? It's one of the all-time classics. He's joining me to talk about his upcoming Australian tour. So that'll be one that will be quite interesting. And tonight's back-end quickie is from none other than Travis. Now, Travis, I thought I saw you earlier tonight, but I haven't seen much feedback. But you better keep watching, my friend, because you're delivering our back-end quickie tonight. So get ready for that one. But first, it's time for a random live shot of the day.
It's the random live shot of the day. Where are you going today? You'll never know where you'll end up with the random live shot of the day.
Yes, our random live shot of the day. This is Milan, Italy. It's live. It's one of the host cities for the 2026 Winter Olympic Games. And guess what? You don't have to pay to see this shot. I'm giving it to you for free. While Cortina has the Alpine slopes, Milan is where some of the most exciting indoor Olympic competition is taking place. In venues around the city, we've got ice hockey, figure skating and short track speed skating battles. They're in the Milano Ice Skating Arena, plus more action across the Milano Ice Park, including speed skating events and hockey showdowns. And every morning at the Arco della Pace, crowds are gathering for the Olympic Cauldron Light Show. It's a spectacle, blending art, flame, and music. Yes, fabulous. All right, let's take a look at some of the feedback coming through to McKnight Tonight. Beck says, so now we need a gym bag, Rob. Okay, so there was a bit of talk before the show about merch. Can you please do a show bag with a matching scrunchie? Well, Beck, you'll be pleased to know I have now included the pink T-shirt because you asked for it. Just remembered. Matthew says, I bought a mug last month and I'm still waiting. Well, Matthew, it's funny you say that because I was looking at the list and yours disappeared and I actually thought you must have cancelled it. You might want to go in and check that your money went out or something. I don't know, but I'm not sure that order went through. I saw it and then it disappeared. So I don't know what's gone on there, my friend. But you can just do it by going to McKnightTonight.shopify.com. Go and see what these guys are doing and thank you for your support. Thank you, Matthew. I do appreciate it. We've got this one from Renee what is it? Oh, Renee Belletti. It's all because it's together. Good to see a decent Aussie podcast. And I think Renee is a new commenter. So, Renee, you get a cheers. Let's... It's what I promised at the beginning of the show, Amanda. Okay, Renee, cheers to you. Thank you for joining the McKnight Tonight family. Dylan says, ooh la la, Rob on the fancy stuff tonight. Yep, it must have been on special at BWS, I'll tell you that much, Dylan. We've got this one from Jeanette. I hope everything is okay though, Rob. It is, Jeanette. It's just a logistics issue. We've got kids here, there and everywhere, and we just can't do it tomorrow. So I'll be sitting at home doing nothing. Matthew says, now the real reason comes out and why there's no show tomorrow. You've run out of wine. Yeah, I like that one. Over the page we go. And Beck says, Rob, do you have Patreon? No, I don't, Beck. But you can always buy me a coffee. You can go to buymeacoffee.com. No, what is it? Have you got the Buy Me a Coffee super there? Hang on, there it is. Oh, yeah, buymeacoffee.com/McKnight Tonight. So if you want to support the show, Beck, you can always put in the chat some extra money. I know that a few people have done that in the past, so you can add money to the chat, and you can do it at buymeacoffee.com/McKnight Tonight. And Beck, you've done great. You have bought some merch, and it's very much appreciated. So thank you for supporting our little show. Matt says, change her name to Disgrace Tame. And that is on Grace Tame and the comment she made at Sydney Town Hall. Jason says, I don't think she should have her award taken away from her. I agree with you, Jason. We've got this one from Beck. I'm sorry, but people have done worse and still got to keep the Australia Day honour. Do we all remember Dawn Fraser? Isn't the Australian of the Year or the people that stole the flag in the Olympics? Yeah, I think she stole the flag before she was awarded Australian of the Year, actually, Beck. We've got this one from Own You're Crazy. I'm not surprised. Miss Tame has always been opinionated. Remember her prime ministerial snub? Yeah. And that's the thing I was saying. I don't like it when she does those things. But we are a democracy. And we can talk out against her actions, but I'm not here for calling for her to be stripped of the Australian of the Year. Jason says, we need to be careful. What makes Australia better than many countries is that we can protest and have a different view. How the police acted on Monday night was disgusting. They're defending themselves. There was that one where the guy had his hands up that I thought was, from what I've seen of that video, there's nothing that can justify the actions of that unless something happened before that video came into play. Scouse_Raw says, this was disgraceful overreach from the cops. Also, all the violence came from police. We've got this one from Matt who says, we play their games, back at them. That's when Matt's talking about the idea that the right is going woke. Big Cones 69 says she hasn't been Australian of the Year for several years now. Is Big Cones 69 a new one? I think it is. Cheers to you. Oh, so I can't have a drink? Drink up. So Alyssa, Sue Alyssa, drink up. Well done for making a comment. We've got this one from Dylan. And a double sip for all the regulars. Oh my God, they're all accusing me of being drunk with what happened a bit earlier. Beck says, I've got a really dumb question that I should know as a 31-year-old. What exactly is Senate estimates? Okay, so what happens is that there are checks and balances in our government, and sporadically throughout the year, they have a thing called Senate estimates, and that's when government and government departments are brought in to be questioned about what they do, their budgets and all those kind of things. And so the people on the panels are made up of various members of the party. So there's representation. Independents can take part of it, take part as well. But when legislation is voted in the lower house, it's approved by the Senate. That's our checks and balances. So Senate estimates is another way of having checks and balances. And so basically the ABC go there, the tax office, whoever, the communications, so they all go there and they get a grilling. That's how that happened with Jane Hume today. asking about Stan Sport. So it's just a way of holding all of government to account. We've got this one from Own Your Crazy. I hope I explained that correctly. The copyright for that Italian event is so restrictive. Are we even allowed to talk about it? Yes, we can talk about the Olympics. Thank you, though, for worrying. Dylan says, watch 7, 9 and 10, put everything behind a paywall with that statement. And that's the danger, Dylan. That is the danger. But if they did that, they'd certainly lose the argument. But they absolutely could. They absolutely could. Jason says the broadcasters can always decide what they broadcast, but rules should change, and $20 is a big steep. It should be on 9 now. Yes, it should have been on 9 now. And I think they were putting, or 7 had a lot on 7 Plus because they don't have a streaming service like Stan. But look, 9 are trying to get people to try Stan. We've got Kyle Laidlaw, my co-partner at TV Black Box. No doubt the anti-siphoning list is a mess, but long gone are the days we can just expect everything for free. Though these events are often lost leaders for the networks and adjust to promote their schedule. That's true, but we also have campaigns, what about free? We have Shannon Knowles singing songs like that about having free sport on free TV. And I think when you're running campaigns like that, and I know it was a 7 campaign and not a 9 campaign, but it is free TV that they're championing here, and they have to pay attention to that. Leo Stubbing says, in the future, these big sporting events will eventually all be on the streaming services, a bit like all the big award shows. I had to get Stan this month to watch the Grammy Awards. Yeah, that's true. And we've got this one. And you're crazy. Hell yeah, if grudges didn't exist, I wouldn't have a reason to be alive. Feel the anger. Wow, a lot of feedback coming through tonight. But I will get to more of it a little later in the show, and Travis's back-end quickie. But let's get into our feature interview.
McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. Here comes McKnight Tonight.
Well, my guest tonight is an iconic musician best known for this all-time classic.
Let me take you by the hand and lead you through the streets of London. I'll show you something to make you change your mind.
I could play that all night. Ralph McTell, welcome to McKnight Tonight.
Well, thank you very much. I haven't seen that video for a while. That's your very own John Williams there playing second guitar with me. Yeah.
That's right. Good memory. It is always a beautiful experience listening to Streets of London. It is a song that refuses to age. Why do you think its message still lands so powerfully today?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes you get the perfect storm, I suppose. When it came out, it was, I think we were in a more compassionate age, and there were songs being written about, the downtrodden, and the world was changing. Bob Dylan was only a young man, and I thought, well, there's scenes around that I can write about. And I think I was very, very fortunate with the tune, because you only have to play the first 4 beats of from the first bar or two, and you know what the song is.
That's right.
I think that was the luck of the draw, and you could say that was probably when I started writing, it was 60 years ago, and I'm still looking for a follow-up.
Do you know, I've got to ask. Everyone wants to have a hit song, right? Is it a blessing or a curse when something is just part of the culture like this song?
Well, at my age, it's a blessing. But when you're actually trying to get your new songs across the board, and I know that very much so in all the places where they understand English so well that they've made this song a kind of underground or a turntable hit, if you like, it's so hard to get past it. It's kind of a bit of a blockage in your creative way. And you say, oh yeah, that's very nice, but what about this new one? Well, it doesn't work like that. And so what happens is that I'm not just saying this, Rob, I got a letter today from a school teacher in a school that gives her 10-year-olds this song without them, they wouldn't be aware of it. And then they do creative writing about it. I just got that letter today.
Wow.
I mean, it's incredible. You know, I've written probably about 300 songs in my life. I'm not as prolific as some, but 300 is a lot for me because I take a long time to write a song. But this song, I've had to accept it. And then I look at my life. I'm 81 and I've got a song that the world knows. How bad can that be, you know?
I get it, though. When you're younger, I mean, it's not a magic formula to having a hit song. And you came out with this song that connected with the world. And so you are a victim of your own success at times when you're trying to progress as an artist, aren't you?
Well, you are, because, you know, even though I've probably been, for example, I'm English, but when I go to Ireland, the one song they want me to play in every television performance. Well, actually, there's two now. So I've got a song that is about Ireland specifically, but about anyone far away from home. But that's a big subject in Irish culture and Irish music. But it's nearly
You're not
always
talking about From Clare to Here, are you, by any chance?
I am, yeah. That's a kind of a surprise hit for me in Ireland, because they don't realise it was written by an Englishman. So that's a little buzz for me, the fact that it's viewed as a traditional Irish song quite often. So I relish being able to tell them that actually it was written by an Englishman, and it's known in very many versions now, and I'm very proud of that association. Yeah.
Well, that song is considered to be your second most important song. I want to show you something. I've put two clips together. You as a younger singer, and you in a more recent performance singing From Clare
that's
to
not
Here.
fair.
Well, you're going to have to live with it. Let's go to the tape.
All right, go on then. Let's have a look.
And it's a long, long way from Clare to here. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. Oh, it's a long, long way, and it gets further day by day. Oh, it's a long way from Clare to here. When Friday comes around, well, Terry's only into fighting. Your mom would like a letter home, but I'm too tired for writing. And it's a long, long way from Clare to here. It's a long, long way from Clare to here.
I tell you what, mate, they're decades apart, but your voice, it holds up, as does the sentiment of the song.
Shame about the hairline, but you know, you can't have everything.
Don't worry, I understand.
yeah. Anyway, no, that was lovely to see. I think I remember that gig was probably St. Patrick's Night, although they'd been very well behaved. It was either St. Patrick's Night up in the north of Ireland, or it was at the Abbey Tavern with Christy Moore in the south of Ireland. I'm not sure.
Geez, I couldn't find the date, but I'll tell you something. If that's St. Patrick's Day, everyone is very well behaved.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Your music feels very personal. How hard is it to share your raw emotions in song? You have to be vulnerable, don't you?
I think you have to be aware, you have to be sensitive, and then you have to say, well, you might try to find more street credible ways of expressing a deeply felt emotion. You know, I can't explain that with a quick example, but I am a bit soft in terms of my sensitivity levels, especially to inhumane and unkind and hurtful things. Just getting through life is a tough gig. So I look for the positivity and in a subject, and also the poetry and the tune. They've all got to play their part. Otherwise, I'd just writing essays or writing stories or writing poems. I think the song is a new art form or newer art form. When Bob Dylan, for example, in the Vanguard, decided that you didn't have to write Moon and June and that sort of thing. You could write about issues that that occupied you, and you could make them loud and raucous, or you could do it with a sensitive interpretation on a guitar acoustically and work very hard on the poetry and the music, and that's the route I've chosen and returned to. I mean, I think that there's a rock and roll guitar player in all of us, I suppose. Even if we can't play, you can stand in front of the mirror and see what you look like holding one of those inflatable guitars. But, you know, it's another thing. I mean, I admire it so much. I've got electric guitars and I can't play them, not convincingly. But the acoustic guitar, that belongs to me. And I love that medium. And I like to play fingerstyle, so it's semi-classical and quite pianistic in a way. And I think I get as much as I can out of one guitar, you know, 6 strings on a guitar. So
Definitely.
I'm pleased with the way I play.
You've mentioned Bob Dylan twice now. Is he a bit of a inspiration, a bit of a hero?
Oh yeah, I mean, and I can. This might sound vain, so be careful. I say I was 17 when I first heard his very first album, and I was in a jazz club, a Sunday afternoon jazz session at Ken Collier's club up in Soho, and I said to the guy playing the disc, I said, "Who's that?" And he said, "Oh, that's Bob Dylan." And I went, "I can play better than that." And so I went out and bought the album and I played it. I said, "Yeah, I can, but what's this special quality he's got? He's made good." And you know, and then of course there was the follow-up album, which was absolutely the album and the song, "Don't Think Twice" and all that. And suddenly the world was music and songwriting, and the world was ours. I was 19 or something, and the world was going to be our turn, and we were going to write about what we wanted. So, in a nutshell, Bob Dylan, in my opinion, is the single most influential and probably the greatest artist of my generation, I would say, because his work, his approach, his image, his lack of communication is cool, and he's got it all in one bundle. And I went to see him most recently in Killarney. I was challenged by the performance because I barely recognized some of the songs because he changes them nightly. But I'm at that stage down in my life when I just like to be in the same room as him.
So you've obviously met him a few times?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, you were just at the gig.
No, I haven't met it. I'd just like to be in the same room, meaning the hall.
Yes.
And when I went up, he's been very kind and commented on one of my songs, which is about that second album sleeve. It has that iconic photograph of him and Susie Rotolo walking down a snow, you know, melting snow street in New York called West 4th Street in Jones. And he got to hear it by hook or by crook and wrote me a lovely little thank you letter for it. So that was equivalent to a knighthood, I think you call that, you know, getting a message from himself.
That's very cool. Let me ask you this. Is there a song in your catalogue that means more to you personally than audiences might realise, and it not necessarily one of your bigger songs?
Wow. What a good question. I've never been asked that before, ever. And I'm I'm trying to think on my feet. I think that sometimes songs are coded. You're really expressing something else, or you're using a kind of cover of another scenario to undo something. But you've put me to a test now. I think, you know, sadly I lost my wife of 57 years marriage just 18 months ago, and I find her in every damn song, and they're not love songs necessarily. I just know she's the first person that would hear a new song, and I have written several about relationships and so on, and business that goes on between married couples, but I suspect there's probably one there. It'll probably come to mind 10 minutes after we finish.
Yes, of course. Send us a note. We'll put it in our feedback. Your first tour in Australia, I believe, was in 1976. What are your memories of touring out here? And it can be the good and the bad.
Well, I loved it. First of all, I loved it. And I started off at the Sydney Opera House, so it doesn't
Good
get
place
much
to
better.
start.
Good place to start. You know where I played just at the end of my last tour was a sheep shearer's shed somewhere outside of Melbourne. But it was done deliberately. It was done in the best possible taste, the very finest corrugated iron and steel place. But I love playing it. And the thing is, I'm not status conscious, but I have played this Opera House. What a place to start. I loved Australia from the moment I was there. I love the attitude. I love the straight talking. I like they're tough, the tough attitude, the no nonsense attitude, and it was that. In talking with my mate Billy Connolly, because we were on the same record label many moons ago, and because he's a soloist, and I said to him, "What do you feel about Australia?" And we were talking, and he asked me to write the music for his world tour of Australia. So
really?
I chose the Dreamtime kind of for the First Nation people explanation of things. And it was the fact that we feel our own ones in Australia. We feel close more than in America for some reason. I mean, the people that, you're more like British people, or to me, you were. I mean, they probably fiercely Australian and identity, but at that time, the new influences in Australia have changed the society a bit, and coming once every 2 or 3 years, I can see the changes, and some of them are absolutely fantastic. But I'll never forget my first trip. I loved it then, I love it now, and that's why I'm back probably for the last time at my age, but I'm going to enjoy every minute of it.
Well, you are coming back in May for the Somewhere Down the Road tour. You're doing Brisbane at the Old Museum on Thursday, May 7. Melbourne at the Elizabeth Murdoch Hall Recital Centre on Friday, May 8. Then you're off to Perth, the State Theatre Studios, Saturday, May 9. Canberra, Street Theatre, Thursday, May 14. Sydney, the City Recital, Friday, May 15. And finishing up in Adelaide, Norwood Theatre, Saturday, May 16. All right, what can fans expect?
Well, I said there's a lot of songs. I'm not going to play all 300, but I think I'm going to...
Be a long night.
You'll still be there the next year. No, I'm going to move back and forth, and I love to talk to people. I call it demystifying the songs. I mean, there's always more than one layer to a song that I've written, because they take me so long to write. So I can always talk about how it began, where it went, and this is what it finished up like. So the stories now about the songs have become quite important and part of the show. So I'll be going right back over nearly 60 years of recordings to select the program, and hopefully people will write in and say, "Can you play this one or that one?" and so on. And this is I think it's my 16th visit to Oz. So I do feel very much at home there, and I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it.
Well, we are looking forward to seeing you here. To get your tickets to see Ralph live in concert, just go to ralphmctell.co.uk. It is going to be a great concert. Ralph, thank you so much for joining us on McKnight Tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's been absolutely great. I really look forward to the show and seeing all my chums out there. It's going to be great.
Cheers.
McKnight Tonight, McKnight Tonight, McKnight Tonight. Here comes McKnight Tonight.
I reckon that'll be fantastic. It's getting a bit late. We better quickly... I think we need to have a quick one tonight, Amanda. Let's have a back-end quickie.
It's time for a back-end quickie.
Tonight's back-end quickie comes to us courtesy of Travis, and he knows what makes my heart... Have I not loaded it up?
No.
To the feedback we go. Beck, thank you for not making me feel like an idiot every time I ask a question. I really appreciate your education. Thank you, Beck. Jeanette says you might need more wine if a lot of kids around to go with it all. I think that's true, Jeanette. When I'm got nothing to do tomorrow. A $2 from Own Your Crazy, like thus. Yes, thank you, Own Your Crazy, for $2 there. Appreciate it. Dylan says a $7.99 from Dylan. Time for another drink, Rob. Oh, do I have to? I guess I do. Amanda's looking for the back-end quickie. I don't even know if I downloaded it, man. Travis, it'll have to be Monday, I think. Matthew explains that on the computer there is a $sign on the right on the chat from memory, and one option is gift memberships. So thank you for that, Matthew, for teaching everyone. And Your Crazy says, stop enabling him. Think of his liver, lol. Yeah, there you go. By the end of the night, we should get Rob very tipsy. I'm not a cheap drunk. Let me tell you that, Jeanette. You'll need a few more. You'll need to put in a few more chats than that, won't you, Amanda? Now, back on the Winter Olympics, this person, I'm trying to work out. Alyssa is the last part, right? SEW Alyssa. It was the no warning with the Stan Sport $20. Ads prior on Stan never said you'll have to give us an extra $20. That's true. When they tell you to go over to Stan Sport, they're not saying, and it'll cost you an extra $20 on top of your membership. That's a really good point. Beck, oh, I didn't know this man was on tonight. I'm sure my mother does because I'm a millennial. I can almost imagine my dad hearing this song and singing it. He could not sing. Did you not know him, Beck? Oh, it's a classic song. Classic. Dylan says, certainly a nice sounding song. It certainly is. It was a bit of a hit as well. We've got this one from Leo. Streets of London was released the year I was born. Yes, lovely. We've got this one from Matthew. Give him a McKnight Tonight hat to have on stage. Oh, maybe we'll have to do that. Oh, I'll just get him to go and buy one, Matthew, at, what's it called? McKnightTonight.shopify.com. McKnightTonight.shopify.com. And are there any more, Jazzy? Oh, yes, might have to check out his show in Norwood, says Dylan. And then this one from Scouse_Raw. Is this the genius that came up with the McKnight Tonight theme song? No. That genius is a man by the name of Mike Carr, who had a character called Buddy Good, who used to perform on Studio 10. And Scouse, I hope you're not having a go at the McKnight Tonight theme song. I really hope. But guess what? The boffins in the back have done it. They have found. We better roll that back end quickie again, Amanda.
It's time for a back end quickie.
I always forget the back end quickie. I always forget it. I forget to prepare for the back end quickie, and it hurts so much. All right, let's have a look at this one from Travis. It's a whole load of fails.
Mum, look how much stuff I've got. Why did you take it off?
Oh, she deserved that. Oh, we got that in there. Oh, that would have hurt. Look at him. Oh. She tried to recover. So you're going to do the same back one? That has actually happened to me. All right, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for everything tonight. We will see you Monday. No show tomorrow night, so drink up, have one on me, and appreciate... Oh, Travis, I just saw that. A back-end quickie always hurts without preparation. All right, we'll see you next week on McKnight Tonight. Cheers.
Fun, insightful interviews from a washed-up producer with nothing to lose. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. It's good.